Why don't you start over?
They didn't write my ticket out in all caps. They wrote it out in proper case.
Well, I think that Patrick would say that really doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, but everyone I've ever seen has been, because the cop was on the phone with somebody before, like as he was writing it. So I think maybe there's some sort of note in the system, and I think this might be a test.
The only thing you need to worry about, okay, what does the very top say on that traffic ticket? State of what?
I got it right here.
State of confusion.
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In all capital letters.
In all capital letters.
Not the Pennsylvania
that
Commonwealth.
is the commercial banking charter of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And the signature line, where it says defendant's signature, he just wrote out issued. He didn't make me sign it, and what I've seen in the past in Pennsylvania, they write per
stand
ID.
by and listen to me when I get into the call here, okay? When I get going here, just stand by and listen, okay? Don't try and think too hard. Just follow along with what I'm going to say, okay? Then you can listen to the call later on and basically follow along again and take notes when you go through the process, okay? Everything out here is about commercial banking right now. The gold that was confiscated in 1933 was the people's gold that was held in the state treasuries. They could not take the individual people's gold away from them. That's private property. They could only give that, the people could only give that up voluntarily. And there's a lot of people that did not give up their gold in 1933. And they didn't get prosecuted, but they kept their mouth shut and didn't let anybody know that they had it. But in 1933, they basically took all the people's gold that was in the treasury, that is your bank of the state, because all of these state constitutions and even the United States Constitution was a de jure banking charter. That's why none of their statutory laws could affect the living person. We're not supposed to affect the living person, because it was just about banking. The Articles of Confederation, okay? If you people think that the Articles of Confederation are so God almighty out here in the process, you might think about it again. Under the Articles of Confederation, they needed to have all 13 colonies in agreement before they would allow any banking funds to be processed. It was an impossibility. You'll never have 100% agreement. So they brought about the new Constitution, banking Constitution, to have a tribunal 2 out of 3, 2/3 majority, to pass any appropriation from the tariff taxes that basically they were collecting. Because, see, they can't go in. They can only get it authorized by the people to go in and draw funds from the Treasury. Because that's the people's treasury. We, the people, is in front of all of these constitutions. So that's our assets. That's our inheritance. They can place liens against them, but they cannot go in and take those. Only we can be the ones to authorize them to come out. And right now that's done by our warehouse receipt, which is our certificate of live birth, or our DD-214 if you had military service. Those are the only two forms that basically will allow the funds to come out of the de jure treasury of the country. There is no, per se, de jure treasury anymore out here at the state levels. They took all the gold away from the states. So we have a commercial depository banking account and trust or savings account. The savings account is held off budget. The checking account or banking account that we have is classified as the CAFR fund for that year. Now, all these courts, with their commercial laws and everything, they're commercial banking laws. You got a driver's license. That license basically was out there for you to basically be able to set off any charges, traffic tickets, in the commercial banking world. The courts are nothing more out here than just commercial administrators, banking administrators. But they're foreign commercial banking administrators, and they're operating in piracy. The prosecutor, normally at the county level, is supposed to be the chief financial officer of the county. You're supposed to turn to him or go to your county commissioners or supervisors. They are the county banking account managers. Like at a regular bank, you go to the account manager. Then he goes to the chief financial officer to broker the item out and issue the warrant over to the treasurer to draw the funds out. The same thing holds true at the state, and basically if you look at that 1047 form, that SF 1047 form, it has U.S. and then it talks about either being a department, pull it up here, either being a department or establishment, bureau, or office. Well, the state of Iowa, or whatever, is an establishment. It's a commercial banking establishment that is under the jurisdiction of the United States Commercial Bank. So, on my form, I put down U.S. State of Iowa, all capital, semicolon, Governmental Commercial Bank and Trust. That's what it is. And then location, care of Iowa, all capital, Secretary of State, address, room, and then basically Des Moines, Iowa. Zip code. Appropriate the funds from the United States, all capital, Governmental Banking Reserve Trust Funds. See, even the CAFR funds are supposed to be going back over into the Federal Reserve banking system at the end of the year. In the commercial world, no corporation is to basically carry anything over to the next year. They have to zero their books. I said this for years. We are an international organization, okay? We have an international organization registration number, whether it be your naturalization number or whether it be your certificate of live birth registration number. That gave you a derivative of yourself in the process. So now you became two people, two persons. And to have an international governmental organization, it takes two. But we've created a hell of a lot more than just two. Now, as an international organization, we basically stand exempt out here in the process because they took our de jure banking system away from us. So we are a commercial banker in this international organization. And we are supposed to be assured or insured by the FDIC and other items out here at the state level, all the state insurance and everything that they're writing against your certificate of life or certificate of title to your vehicle, your certificate of title to your property, your driver's license, your voter registration license, your fishing license, your hunting license. All these basically are carrying an assurance for any commercial charges that would be levied against them. You have to go to the appropriate account manager and basically order them to be set off. Your county commissioners or supervisors is normally one of the first places to go. If they don't understand it, then you go to the Secretary of State, because they are the state account managers. Then they will process it over to the Attorney General's office. At the county, it should go over to the county attorney, as they are the chief financial officers, either for the county or for the state. Then they would write the warrant to the treasurer to do the set-off. $1047, public voucher for refunds. You basically deposited into the public commercial system your labor. You deposited it. Now you can ask for the refund of that, because everything basically has been prepaid, because all these corporations out here had to borrow from the Federal Reserve to operate, because they had to zero their books at the end of the year. Whose assets were they using? Yours. So they owe you rent. And the rent is basically that these items are prepaid. Nobody's lost anything. But in the court system, basically these foreign banking court officials, bar attorneys and everything, they're out there operating as pirates, trying to rip you off because you don't understand Title 22 U.S.C. 288A and Public Law 79-291. And then, like this international commercial obligation lien, and this basically, there's a YouTube video out there that they filed this. I think there's two of them that talk about this. And I was glad to see that they did reference in there violations of 15 U.S.C. Section 1 and 2. But when you look at it, it's going to take 90 days or more. That's unacceptable. That's why when you turn around and look at the following forms, the 3949A, the 14039, okay, the 3949A basically is to informational referral, okay? And you can basically bring charges against these commercial banking agents that they're operating in fraud. You've never got any 1099As or Bs or Cs from your traffic tickets, from your property taxes, or anything else. From the confiscation of your property, the sale of your property. Because they got you to consent. And you didn't know what you were doing. Okay? The 13909 form, tax exempt organization complaint form, referral form, okay, complaint and referral form. You are a tax exempt organization, international. You can file this against any director, officer, person using income assets for their personal gain or for their for-profit business activities. You can fax this right in. The fax number's right there. This goes into Dallas, Texas. And it's going into the IRS. You basically, go in there and you do not give consent, then what are they doing? If they proceed, they're doing identity theft. So you do an identity theft affidavit using the 14039 form, and you send that into the CID, Fresno, California. Same place that your 3949A will be going to. And then the final one is basically the 14242, report suspected abuse, tax promotions and preparers. And basically, these guys, every time they're filing a charge, that is an abusive tax. And these courts are promoting abusive tax promotions for their benefits. And you can fax that one in too. And that goes to the IRS also. But that's at Legales, whatever, California. Then you come in protected under Rule 340, Whistleblower Action, into the IRS. Now you're protected by the IRS, the CID in the process. Because they want to know about this commercial tax violation that's going on out here. And it's all about banking, every bit of it. We don't have the de jure bank that the Constitution set up. and they've set up this commercial banking system, and then all of these codes of law are commercial banking charges. Piracy, different ways to rip you off. But you can stand outside of their system if you stand as an international organization, governmental organization, because you are a government unto yourself. You have the right of choice. You can choose right or wrong. So you're making up your own individual private laws constantly of right and wrong. And then you stand protected by the de jure banking laws, Article 1 or Article 9 and Article 10. And then you're also standing under the commercial banking protections of Title 22 USC 288A, and also your right of trade and commerce per Title 15 USC Section 1 and 2. But I think it's a far better and faster response. And see, when you go and put these charges into that Secretary of the State, now you're operating in the commercial banking system, and a commercial banking transaction has to be completed within 3 banking days. Not 90 days, not 30 days, as if you were putting in a commercial lien. I think it's more powerful to put charges into the Inspector Generals and also into the IRS using these IRS complaint forms, commercial banking complaint forms. Because when I went up to the state capitol one time, I stopped in first to see the treasurer. And I informed him that I had informed the CID that I was up there and that I was to be monitored during my time while I was up there. Well, I got basically 2 state police to escort me around while I was there. They didn't know what I was up to, and I didn't quite know the power that I have. Now I know I have real power in the process, and I know where to start the process is at the Secretary of State's office, not the treasurer, because we have to put our account, we have to go to the account manager first. Then he turns around and takes our order and places it into the chief financial officer to broker our order. And then the chief financial officer has to issue a warrant to the treasurer to draw the funds out of the treasury. Just like any other bank out here. Same process. And you can go into any commercial bank and order them to set off your student loan, your loan on your vehicle, your mortgage, all of these. You gave them the credits that are sitting in your Social Security account. So it's already, everything has already been prepaid, but they're out there trying to utilize your assets in a commercial endeavor, and they never report their taxes of profit back into the system. And you never get a 1099 A, B, or C, or any of that stuff, so that you know what the hell they're doing. They're not going to report themselves to you. You have to be wiser than they are. So everybody else out here that's in the, all of these other talk shoes and everything else, they're barking up the wrong tree if they're trying to argue commercial laws when they don't understand the commercial banking laws. And they got to understand the commercial banking system, the governmental commercial banking system, and that all these states are just now commercial banks of the United States Commercial Bank, which is the main bankrupt that was created in 1871. I'll be putting a little audio together to try and go over just court actions, but I think I addressed pretty well in this item here. Court actions are simple now. And basically you turn around and you stand in there exempt based upon your international organization registration number. And that you will file criminal charges using these one of these 4 forms or all of the 4 forms against that bar court judge or the county bar attorney if they don't set these charges off appropriately, because you are already assured or insured, protected. Marriage certificate, that's another document that's out there that basically has a protection in it, an insurance protection for child support or support of the wife in the process. All your hospital bills. When you basically release yourself, you sign the release form from the hospital, you have released the credits to that hospital. If they don't take it, you send the bill up to the Secretary of State and say, settle this. We were sending a lot of our stuff to the wrong places, to the Treasury and to the Attorney Generals, when it all should have been going to our account manager, the Secretary of State, in the commercial banking system. Okay. Now, I had Tom post all of those documents up there. Those IRS forms, and also the 20-minute audio that I did earlier about this state commercial banking system. So, basically, if you haven't listened to it, then basically, I beg you not to ask any questions. Listen to it, listen to this call again before you try and put any questions into your mind. You have to get a good, sound understanding of what I just put out here to you, because in some cases you might have to go and stick your head in the bathtub for about an hour and try and wash out all the other garbage that you have in there. Then you can start thinking clearly. But if you got too much other garbage in there, you'll never think clearly. So, it's open for questions now if you've got a valid one.
From what it's sounding like, Patrick, that we're not going to be getting anything out of our Social Security account then. It's going to come out of the certificate of live birth.
No, I didn't say that, Tom.
Okay, then I read it wrong then.
Yeah. So you need to sit back and think about this a little more.
Will do.
Certificate of live birth and the DD-214 are special. They're warehouse receipts. Your Social Security account basically can be used to offset other items using your exemption number on the back of your Social Security card.
Just like we were doing. Okay.
Yes, but you have to process this through the Secretary of State using these 1047 public voucher forms. We should not have to use the 1455 and the 1522 forms.
Okay.
And then you should be able to get a U.S./state of debit card from the state treasurer.
Yes, you mentioned that in your audio. Good. Okay, so we can get, we don't need those SAB forms because we basically deposited the funds in there already with our labor.
In some cases, yes. Okay. Otherwise, we set deposits already with the Social Security account.
Okay.
See, that's the assets that they're basically utilizing in the Federal Reserve Bank. We transferred those over to the Federal Reserve Bank when we signed up with the Social Security. And they're being held off budget in off-budget accounts.
Or main accounts.
But all of the tariff taxes that come into this country are also going into the Federal Reserve Bank, and we have a claim against them using our Social Security account number and basically our number on the back of the Social Security card. Also, our domestic address, banking address, is basically an 11-digit number. Commercial, domestic commercial bank, postal bank. Okay, that's our commercial postal bank. Is like, in my case, IA 525918236. Okay. See, people have been arguing a lot of this stuff and basically not knowing that basically they gave us the remedies out here, that nobody ever looked for where the remedies were really at. They gave us a commercial banking remedy.
That was pretty ingenious how you spotted that from the 1966 disbandment of the postal bank and the remedy appearing with the 1047 form 7 years later.
Yeah, it just stands to reason. Basically, they had to wait for a 7-year contract. Everything basically is about a contract is 7 years, just like someone that comes into this country. They have to wait 7 years before they get naturalized. Then they have once they get naturalized after 7 years, then they are given a naturalization paper, and now they have a claim against the de jure treasury of the country because they put their time in. And that's all the way back into the book of Jeremiah or Joshua or whatever. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
The use of the 11-digit zip code eliminates the street address?
No.
Okay.
But basically, the 11-digit zip code, basically, they can track you anywhere in the country. You don't need to have the street address. That zip code will tell them right where you are. It will lock right in on you, just like basically in the movie Matrix. How did they find Neo? They locked into him, and then basically they got him unplugged. Then he got flushed out of the system. Then they had to go and pick him up and revive him. See, there was so much in that movie that basically people don't see the little things. Yeah, they didn't necessarily locate him with the 9-digit number, but basically with the 11-digit number, they find you wherever you are, because that's in the private. The 9 is in the public, commercial world.
Well, it stands to reason to use that on the 1047.
See, that's brought up at the very end of that movie, in the Matrix. At the very end, when you see all the 9 digits going up and down in several columns there, and basically in the middle of it, it says system failure. It's the 9 digits that are the system failure, because people aren't utilizing the commercial banking system the way it was initially set up to be. Primarily because we got all these pirates running around out here with their bar cards and not doing their job. And then we're not filing the IRS appropriate documents against them. Yeah, they were scared to death up there when I went up to the state capitol, and I told the secretary of the treasurer up there, that I contacted the CID. He immediately got on the phone and basically had 2 state police follow me around to see what the hell I was up to. Because he knew that I could cause damage to them. They were scared shitless. I've scared several of these guys shitless at different times. Even the postal inspector and not the FBI, but the U.S. Marshals. Even somewhat the Secret Service when they came out to see me. Especially when I told them that vehicle they're driving belonged to me. Because I'm one of the we the people. A corporation can't own anything. It all belongs to the shareholders. And then, basically, like I said, you're protected under the Whistleblower Actions under Rule 341, 340, 341. Yeah, read all of 340 rule. 341, 342 through 340, I forget what it is, 344, 345, 345. Yeah, you can be a whistleblower. All these other people out here that basically claim to be judges and everything, they have no idea about the de jure or the commercial banking system out here. A couple people have been close, but they don't see this. And basically, you're the father. And what is the son? The son is a derivative of the father. Son of God, was a derivative of God. So Jesus, the Son of God, was a derivative of Emmanuel, the God. Different way of looking at the Bible. It's all about derivative actions. And you created a bunch of little derivatives out here. You've dribbled all over the place. Okay, questions, comments, rebuttals. *6 if you want to say anything.
But what's the 340 and 341 a code of? Is that part of a U.S. code?
Title 33.
Okay. Good.
If you just type in Rule 340, you might be able to find it. Especially if you type in 340 and type in Whistleblower Actions.
I just discovered this is all Article 3 stuff.
You what?
It's all Article 3.
Okay.
Oh, it's Title 33, not Article 3 of the Constitution.
Whatever you find it, basically you find it, basically it's up there. If you type in Whistleblower Actions and then basically go to Rule 340, okay?
Yep, that's what I did. It goes to the U.S. Tax Court Rules of Practice and Procedure.
Yeah, it's for the tax court rules. And basically, see, that's where you're coming in. You're coming in under taxing because basically everything out here is about taxes, commercial taxes. And you owe no taxes. It's these commercial organizations that basically, for operating for profit, that owe the taxes, the beneficial owners. You're not the beneficial owner. You're the true owner. And the true owner really owes no taxes because that is private property. And that is covered under Public Law 79-291, Section 6.
Hello, Patrick.
Yes.
How you doing? This is Johari. How you doing, sir?
Okay.
How you doing, Tom?
Pretty good.
Patrick, everything that we're following, I believe anybody who's doing a study on all the codes and everything, they should know by now that what you're telling us and teaching us is definitely vital to our survival. And I'm thinking that until we get to the root of we're being diligent about what we should do instead of being clogged up on what's going on TV, they have us worrying about the wrong stuff. And I use that word very vaguely because there's so much stuff that goes through the TV, the radio, and all that is to get us off of what's important, which is what we're talking about. And it's truly our birthright. Our birthright was hidden when George Washington became president, when I'm trying to think of his name, John Hanson gave, when with the Republic, he gave everything over to George Washington when he come over. I'm trying to think through that war. There's so much information that we have studied at this time. But people do not understand. They have taken our birthright. Like you said, we are the supreme authority or the stockholders of the corporation. But see, everybody was dumbed down to the point and think that they didn't have no kind of precedent in what's going on, and we do.
No, stop. You're rambling, and you're not hearing what I had to say at the very beginning. Okay?
Okay.
The Constitution was nothing more than a de jure bank contract, charter.
Okay.
It's a banking charter. George Washington became the first president of the National Constitutional Bank. Alexander Hamilton set up a public bank under the Department of the Treasury because Congress could not get the understanding that they were in charge of the bank. So basically, they weren't putting currency into circulation the way they should have been. So Alexander Hamilton set up this public governmental / public bank under a derivative of the Treasury Department to create the Department of the Treasury and bring in a foreign bank to do what Congress should have been doing all along.
Right.
Now, since the government could not get their shit together and release the funds to pay the debts after the Civil War, basically England came in and set up this copyrighted derivative United States bankrupt trust here in this country in a commercial endeavor to basically place all the tariff taxes and everything into the trust to pay the debts off. But they couldn't take it because all of the tariff taxes, the excess tariff taxes, really belong to the people. But they put them in this public bank, okay, foreign public bank, and then they could write liens against it. And then in 1933, basically Roosevelt took all of the state gold away from the people because the states, under their constitutions, were also governmental de jure banks. They could not create money, but they could hold the assets for the people in a state treasury there if the people came to them and set off their state charges.
Okay, but even though they are sitting back negotiating different trusts, and they still understand that they are basically using the live flesh people to take care of the bills or the bankruptcy, and they're using
there is more funds out there covering the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy's already been paid off. All the stuff that's held in the Federal Reserve Bank really is an obligation that's owed to we the people.
Yes, I understand that. But the fact is that we were never educated to the point that right now everybody that's on this conference are becoming aware what really happened. So I'm sure that everything's going through people's minds. I mean, this is so much information, and most people, I guess.
And it's simple. Just keep in the simplicity of it and understand that basically, like at a regular bank, you have to go to the account manager to settle your loan.
Correct.
And then he processes over to the chief financial officer. You don't go to the chief financial officer. That account manager does. And then the chief financial officer has to issue the warrant over to the treasurer to make the payment. Keep it simple. Same thing at the county courthouse. That's a county bank. You operate it the same way.
Patrick, that's exactly my point. Because I remember about 3 or 4 years ago that when we was doing and doing the stuff, I think it was called getting out of Babylon, and we're doing the 1099-Cs and 1099-As, and the first thing you told us, we have to present everything to the Secretary of State. And as I was looking over the information and digesting it and trying to understand it, because the Secretary of State, he'd take it to the treasurer, and he will order the treasurer, handle this, because this is private or set aside because these people are operating like that. Like me and you talked not too long ago about what the Pope said. And the Pope clearly said, if people are operating
basically the Pope, yes, said that basically you had to get into admiralty, okay?
Right.
And see, under admiralty law, then you are protected out here. You can come in as the vessel owner on the seas of commercial commerce.
Okay.
Okay? See, that's why you need that baptismal certificate. I'm the only one that's been talking about that thing.
You know what? And that made, when you said that, that made sense to me, because now you can prove that you are the living effect and the only heir to the estate. And that made sense to me.
We have 2 documents that show that we're living, okay? Either our Bible entry,
right,
okay, or our hospital birth certificate, which is the original birth certificate, and then the certificate of live birth is a derivative of that, to where they created a secondary person so that you would now have 2 persons in your system, so that now you would be an international governmental organization. You needed to have 2. You could not be 1.
That's right. And that leads me to this question here. And I do understand the birth certificate from the county, birth certificate from the state. And then I looked inside the files, and I have explored all the files. And I'm thinking about the file you have, the letter of patent, which goes to the vice president. So for that declarated birth certificate to be declarated by the vice president. Now, in order for that to be declarated,
you don't need it.
But according to, I did some
according to who? According to who?
Well, not according, but as I looked at your files, I like to do other extensive research, but I'm like looking at the information. If you have a birth certificate that has been authenticated and you send to the vice president and get decorated, that's the highest honor that anybody as I would say a stockholder in the corporation can ever hold. So what can it do to you then?
No.
You decorated.
No. You take, basically, like what I just posted up there. Notice of cause of action. For the record, by Patrick Divine. My American International Unalienable Life Estate Deed and Private Patent Claim. And you file that into the county records.
Okay.
Okay? Now, you get certified copies of that, and now you can basically take and shove that right up that account manager up there to Secretary of State's office.
Well, if you remember, we talked about this, and I did that I finally went to the recording office on Friday, and I got everything filed. I got a certified copy, and so I'm just holding on to the certified copy so I can get clear on how we
where
should
they
process
go. And you send a copy of that up to the Secretary of State and say, hey, I am here now to start brokering my commercial banking account.
Okay. And, this stuff is so, high powerful. You have to really be on your studies and keep your mind open and have your conscious mind to the point, not being dumbed down, but being open to, like you said, the admiralty, and on the other side of the spiritual side, that knowing you have a vital claim. Here we go.
Yeah. Now, one other thing that I don't think I mentioned, that basically in the county courthouse, you have a de jure court, a de jure tribunal court sitting there waiting for you to call upon them.
At the county courthouse?
At the county courthouse, a de jure tribunal court.
Okay, so how should we process?
Just listen to me, okay? Your county commissioners or supervisors, you basically have 3 of them sit in court in the de jure to rule upon your claim in the process. You keep it out of these foreign court, bar attorney courts, to bring about the settlement.
Okay, I see what you're saying. In other words, you're taking it on the private side, because when you deal with de jure, you private.
You deal with the de jure law of the land. The county is the land, and you go to the law of the land court,
I see what you're saying.
Tribunal, and that is a tribunal court.
Yes, sir. I see what you're saying.
2 out of 3. Okay.
I got it now. I got it, sir. Yes, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I'm hoping everybody is picking up what you're saying, because the spiritual part of it is the de jure court.
Yes. And see, that's where you've got to hit these guys up. You've got to hit the county commissioners, because they are basically the county banking
administrative agent.
Right.
That's right. And their job is, when you come on that side, they have to process it.
Right. And if they don't process it, then they are in violation of commercial banking laws also.
That's right. Then we get the inspector to, I got you now. I got you.
And see, they've all been operating for profit too, because in a lot of cases they're getting IPers and different kickbacks from the system. You have to call them upon that.
Just like these people call Sharia law, that's their law, their land. We're calling our law our land. Just like some people in other countries call it ecclesiastical court when it's not the other court, the admiralty court.
Right. It's the law of the land court, the tribunal, and every county has to have at least 3 supervisors or commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them have 10, 12 commissioners or supervisors. But all you need to do to sit in a tribunal court is have 2 or 3 and have 2 of them rule one way or the other.
Right.
And you better be able to present your case properly.
You know what? I believe that we're all on the proper level. And Patrick, I'm so grateful of the spirits bringing you to the
forget that stuff. Just get the shit down, okay? Forget that hocus pocus shit, okay?
What? It's not hocus pocus. It's all about, because most people just don't know, Patrick. And let's get down with it. And most people have been dumbed down to the point, and we thank you for doing your homework and then making us do our homework too, sir.
Just go to
Animal Line. I'm trying to put out the common sense understanding, okay? I'm trying to wake people up to the basic common sense.
Yeah, you guys
like
need to
Benjamin Franklin, okay?
If you guys don't know what a word means, do like Patrick says and look it up. I found a really good website called Animal Line, ETMYOLINE.com. You look up idiot in there, and it says private person. And you look up, some of these words Patrick uses, and it gives you the Latin definition, where the word came from, not what we use today, an idiot.
Okay. That's some Good information. Thank you, sir.
And we've been told all along.
Right.
Learning the Bible, you have to know the Word. The Word is the key.
We have been bamboozled. We have been bamboozled for real. So now we're trying to get an understanding so we can get our thoughts together so we can take care of our families and then do what we need to. Because most of us have loving hearts, and that's all we want to do is just provide. Make sure our community is nice.
It's time not to talk anymore. It's time to look at those forms and start getting that 1047 and get those other forms into the county records so that you can go up and prove that you are the official account holder and have a right of claim against this commercial bank. And then if they do not comply, you will bring in the CID and shove it up their ass.
Brother Patrick,
send them to jail.
I understand. And like I told you, on Friday, I filed at the Recorder of Deeds office, and I'm filing suit because I understand what needs to be done. And I'm going to do exactly because I'll be going to bring all the generals in because we're tired. We're tired now. We're tired.
What was that website that gentleman just gave a minute ago? What was that website again, please?
What website?
ETMYOLINE. Etymology. ETMYOLINE. And it's etymology, like etymology. But, you look up magistrate in there, and magi means magician, and straight means strict, so he's a strict trickster magician is exactly what it says.
Thank you.
Yeah, you see, this goes all the way back to the book of Joshua, where they set up the first Pharaoh operating in out there taxing the dead.
Right, and Patrick's 100% right when he refers to the Bible because you look this up and they didn't always say this. Sometimes they used the words I just used, magistrate. Sometimes they didn't. You know what else they used? Look it up.
But that's why I always say we have to do our research. We can't just jump into this thing. You have to know what you know that you know that you know. If you don't know, you don't have it inside your spirit.
And all these bar attorneys are working for the baron, the banking barons out of Europe. Okay? That's where BAR comes from, is the first three letters of baron. So they're banking baron agents here in this country. They're working as foreign agents.
British accredited registry, too, they say. And it's actually not a bar license. It's a membership card to a union.
Yeah, it's a communist organization. And the communism banking system was set up by the Rothschilds back in 1871 in France.
And at that particular point, just like you've been saying, that makes us as people who live in America foreign to them. They are foreign company. We are the true Americans on this land.
Well, we're operating with a foreign commercial banking system. It's foreign. It's not the de jure banking system out here. So, enough said. Just go and do it. Listen to the first part of the audio, and basically the answers are all right there.
Patrick, we're going to have this business. Anybody who believes that we have been bamboozled, we're going to follow the script, and we're going to follow the business.
Enough talk from you. Okay? Anybody else have any specific questions that they don't quite understand? Star 6 if you got a question that you don't quite understand what I said earlier. Okay, Tom, go ahead and call tonight.
Yeah. I pretty much understand in general what you're doing, Patrick. We've got to go back to these forms and look at them specifically and answer them and fill them out ourselves. And
they're not that hard to fill out.
No.
Okay, you may not have their EIN. The other form that you need is the W-9 form to try and get their 9-digit EIN number.
Right. All right.
But if you put enough information down and say that they would not give it to you, then basically the CID can track them down.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you start using the IRS as our friend, not as our enemy.
That's
yeah,
right.
hopefully people start realizing in their Bible when it says magi, it doesn't mean magician. It means that judges were around back then, brother.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Great call tonight, Tom. We'll talk to you guys
Thank
later.
you.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
good
thank you,
night.
Pat.
Thank you.